Welcome to Friday 15 with Master B2B. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoar for another episode, an exciting one today. We're going to talk about the industry and how AI is affecting systems integrators. Exciting topic, Andy. Welcome to Friday.
Yeah, great to be here. It's still the summer. It's hard to believe, though. It feels like we're about 2 weeks away from football starting all over again.
Oh, I'm excited. That's right. My Rutgers Scarlet Knights will take the field yet again, and we'll see how they do. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. They've got a good team, but man, it's tough. It's tough.
They'll have a strong 6-6 year, Brian.
Oh, shut up. What do you which college do you go to? Is it
we're Northwestern. We lose with pride over here.
Brookdale Community? Is that the
That's
one?
That's right. We lose, but we produce doctors. So, hey.
Excellent. Well, everyone, thanks again for joining Friday 15. We're going to start off with some exciting breaking news. I love saying that. It's so fun. All right, Andy, did you see this? Perplexity this week made a long shot $34.5 billion offer for Chrome. What? Perplexity's offer is significantly more than its own valuation, which is estimated at $18 billion. The company told the Wall Street Journal that several investors, including large venture capital funds, have agreed to back the transaction in full. Andy, what the heck, man? A company offering twice its valuation to buy a piece of Google? Wow. What's your reaction?
Well, this is so interesting on so many levels. The most interesting part of the story is that they're trying to buy something that's actually not for sale. There's speculation that the government's going to require Google to spin off Chrome for antitrust reasons. But by virtue of the fact that, OpenAI and all these other companies have emerged, and a company worth $18 billion is trying to buy a company worth twice the amount, there's clearly an argument that there's a lot of very few barriers to entry here. Now, that's one interesting take. The other interesting take is, why is Perplexity doing this? And I think this is real. They have a better mousetrap. They have, using AI. It's an AI answer engine similar to Claude, similar to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And what they're looking for is, I like to joke, they're an engine looking for a car. And so they have a brand new engine, but they don't have a chassis to put it on. And so I don't know if you know this or not, but not only did they make an offer to buy Chrome, but earlier this year, they offered to buy TikTok.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Perplexity feels like they have something better here, a new kind of engine, and they just don't have enough ways to get eyeballs. They need training data. And boy, would Chrome give them a lot of training data.
Oh, for sure. It's fascinating. I mean, it's a very bold move. And I suppose if they have the investment dollars behind them, they could make it happen. I mean, this is sort of game changer type behavior. We'll keep watching that, folks. Go ahead.
Well, the rumor here is that Perplexity, for the longest time, at least this year, and the longest time now is like measured in months, that Apple is going to be buying Perplexity, because Apple's AI efforts have been, to put it mildly, dismal. And so the question is, there's some people arguing that Perplexity is trying to make itself seem more valuable so they can charge a higher price to Apple when inevitably Apple tries to buy them. So who knows?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, we'll continue to watch it, folks. And of course, today we're talking about AI. Our topic is AI. Is it changing the role of the systems integrator? Andy, systems integrators, a long time really stalwart of our industry that have, historically generated a lot of revenue. And we'll give some numbers in a moment around code development. Well, guess what? Code is now largely being written by AI. In fact, the CTO of Microsoft recently said AI will generate 95% of code within the next 5 years. Okay, well, what happens to a business model then that's reliant on code generation? So, will AI just sort of replace developers? So he went on to say, the CTO, it doesn't mean that the AI is doing the software engineering job, meaning authorship. Authorship is still going to be human, he explained. We will go from being an input master, meaning programming languages, to a prompt master, meaning an AI orchestrator. In this new paradigm, developers will focus on guiding AI systems rather than programming computers manually. By articulating their needs through prompts, engineers will allow AI to handle much of their repetitive work. It's fascinating, Andy. So what he's saying, I think, is, AI is going to be a tool, but certainly that repetitive work thing at the end of his quote there, that's stuff that systems integrators have charged for historically. In fact, Boston Consulting Group, BCG, reported that systems integration work and custom software development are the largest component of sales for systems integrators, accounting for 45.7% of the total global revenue to SIs. Andy, okay, so we've got a bit of a conundrum here if you're an SI. And then what does this do for practitioners running B2B e-commerce at their manufacturer distributor firm? Does that mean that they need to look directly to AI and can no longer need to use SIs? Any initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is going to change the model. And the question is, from what to what? And I think there's some companies that are ahead of the curve on this, some companies behind the curve. There's some practitioners who are going to still want to go manual on some of these things. I mean, it took a while for people to move away from horse and buggy to car. And
Right.
I said, because there were people who insisted for a while that this car is too dangerous. I don't trust it.
Sure.
Yep. For the horse, even though probably more people got killed by getting hit by horses and run over by horses and buggies overturning in the middle of the street than cars did initially. But there's going to be a period of transition. But do not fool yourself. This is going to change the model, and the smart SIs are getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So we wanted to ask our community this question: will Gen AI's code generation capability replace the majority of SIs, systems integrators, development services over the next 3 to 5 years? And what was interesting is, majority, 63%, said no. In other words, they thought that the development services, to your point about the horse and buggy transition, right? It's going to take some time, but 38% did say yes. So a full third said, hey, we think it will replace, these services. So, the industry, our subset there on LinkedIn, does think that it's going to have an impact, but won't fully replace, at least in the next 5 years. But we wanted to get.
Well, one thing I will say about this is that in this, and we'll get this from our guests too. I've seen this myself over the years. Everybody says, yeah, our things can be mostly plug and play. And then once they get their hands on it, they want to customize the hell out of it. Despite what everybody says, that's not a good idea. And there's a difference between configuring something and customizing. But what ends up happening is they fall in love with it. They want to change it to fit their specific needs. Until that changes, big changes probably still.
I don't know that's ever going to change.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we wanted to get the opinion of someone in this business. So we want to introduce to you Mr. Tim Elenius. Tim, welcome. Tim is a VP of Strategic Initiatives at AmericanEagle.com, a leading systems integrator. Tim, this is your business. Number one, what does American Eagle do for a living? Maybe start there, and then we can talk about how this AI stuff is impacting it. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Brian and Andy. Excited to be on the Friday 15. AmericanEagle.com is a full service agency. So we started with the hosting and website development business back in the mid 90s and have continued to grow since then. With that, we've also grown into digital marketing, continued that hosting, managed cloud services side of the business as well. And then, mainly still maintaining existing customers, sites and digital systems, but then also still taking the projects on and the newer projects with AI itself and how that has been coming into play the past several years.
Interesting. So this is certainly and clearly impacting. You guys write a lot of code, right?
Yeah, we write a lot of code.
I'm sure. So, and for the last 25 years, you've been writing code, actually more, right? So, so how is this impacting your business? Maybe give us a flyover, and then we'll have some specific questions for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like, when people would use the phrases like email is dead, right? Coding is dead, right? It's not. AI is not the end or death of code revenue, code generation that a developer needs to do. It's a shift, right? And we have to adapt and shift with that, just like we did when the CMS platforms became DXPs, when e-commerce platforms continued to evolve and they moved from, local installed on your server to SaaS-based models. With all of that, generative AI is definitely changing how code is written by the team, but really it's helping to accelerate certain areas. And you saw it in the quote too, is that repetitive work as well. What are things that it can come in and help with? And so we are seeing that code creation is becoming faster. At the same time, though, I'm not concerned about it because we still have to have contextual problem solving and systems thinking that aren't going anywhere. That's still going to happen. So I think you're going to start to see how AI is just becoming the main tool in the toolbox for a developer. And instead of as much hands-on keyboard writing lines of code, it's writing the prompts out and understanding how to connect those different systems. And as Andy mentioned too, there's so many different ways that all the different solutions and systems that a company has in place still have to be connected. You can ask AI how to connect those systems, but you still have to validate that that connection is the most optimized. If you're using cloud services, are you actually being efficient with that spend, especially with the way that the pricing models have changed for, computation cycles? Those are all things that if you just let AI go with it, but you don't validate it, you could actually end up spending more money than if you had someone manually write the code and be very optimized and efficient with it. Will that get better over time? Yes, I believe it will as well. But instead of writing code, writing code isn't the service, delivering outcomes is. So while Gen AI is changing the tools, there's still that need for strategic implementation, human thought that goes behind it.
So Tim, have you had to explain though to clients that it's basically an hourly business. You may charge fixed fee for projects, but people denominate your value on an hourly basis. And they might say, and I'm just curious if you hear this or not, well, we hired you to put all these things together, and now you're going to be able to do it 50% faster because of AI, whether that's real or not. And if that's the case, shouldn't the projects cost 50% of the price or take 50% of the time?
There's a possibility for that, absolutely. I think what it allows us to also do, though, is have those projects be even more focused on the business outcomes of what they want to achieve, where we're not having to spend as much time writing the code, but looking at the way those systems can interact together, how that can be used and tied into other efforts that that business wants to do, whether it's marketing automation, account-based marketing, opportunities where there's more information being shared or analyzed even because AI can come in and help with that, but you're implementing those tools in. The acceleration side is one of the ways that we've been doing that. We've developed out several accelerators utilizing AI to help with the code generation, but it allows us to also move faster for testing or putting an A/B testing model in place for if I change this component, I can quickly do it because of an AI accelerator now versus having to go and program the whole thing, put my test in place. So it is bringing that level of efficiency, but it also allows us to continually optimize now, where before there was a little bit more of a gap in the turnaround time that you would have for it. So I think it actually introduces the opportunity for the business to move faster than before because the SI is using AI in the way that they're developing out the component, the code on the page, or even the tests on the page.
Okay, well, Mr. Ahlenius. Okay, so if I'm a seasoned vice president of e-commerce and I've done 18 replatforms in my career and I've developed all these systems integrations, I've worked with SIs for years. I have an IT team that I either manage or collaborate with. Why don't I just do this all myself? What the heck do I need a systems integrator for? I'm just going to go get AI and work with my CIO and roll this all out myself. Why do I still need a systems integrator if AI is going to write a lot of my code?
Well, Brian, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is just look at the speed of how AI is changing. It's actually accelerated the amount of education we have to do ourselves as SIs or as individuals in the technology space, where projects that we built even 2 years ago for AI specifically have completely changed in the approach that you would program them today and implement them today. So the speed of change is one of the reasons why I feel that the SIs who adapt into it appropriately and understand how to pivot with the AI changes as they come out, that's really where you're going to see SIs who succeed And then also for the companies who look to bring in and say, hey, I'll just have AI write everything for me. That's great, but who's maintaining that? Just because AI can write it doesn't mean you don't need someone who's still going to continually update that as your
Okay.
other systems change, right? As your ERP changes or your e-commerce platform changes over time, as different industry rules change, right? All of that comes into play. And I look at tools and solutions that even we've used for accessibility and how those have changed over the years. At the end of the day, there's also certain things that AI just can't do. And there's still going to be a need for those areas of work where you can't just have AI say, yes, 100%, this is true. I think the biggest problem that I've seen with AI is that we've continued to see releases come out from the different AI platforms where the hallucination rate doesn't decrease, it actually increases with the next model. And for some reason, in the past, we wouldn't accept that, right? If something came out as a software update or whatever, and it had more bugs than before, we would challenge that and push back on whoever that software development company was. But now with the hallucination rate increasing, people just accept it because at the end of the day, it's a convenience for them. It's an ease for them to just still put it in and say, it's good enough. And that's the interesting shift. Is a business willing to say, my AI is good enough? And if it screws up a few decimals in my dollar amounts, is that okay?
Right.
I wouldn't be okay with that.
Let's talk about the big issue that has emerged in the last several years because AI has accentuated the need for it, which is data. If you don't have good data, none of this stuff works. I guess in the past, you could hide the fact that you had bad data, or at least you were able to sort of obfuscate that a little bit, or you could manually correct it. There's no hiding bad data today. So how has this changed how you guys are approaching things with your clients? Are you doing more like data prep work up front with these guys? Are you saying we got to triage your data before we can even make any of this work? Give us a sense for what impact data is having now on your AI efforts.
Yeah, data has a huge impact, Andy, on the AI efforts, especially when you're looking at like projects for document retrieval or FAQs based off of internal documents and files and data. When that data is not clean, we end up having an AI model that's going to give you inaccurate results, and even misleading. And once it's in the system, it's hard to remove it from the system. You can, but you want to make sure that you go in as clean as possible because you don't want to have and introduce those hallucinations or those inaccuracies across the board. So data prep is a big one. With our clients, we talk a lot about just the cleanliness of data, especially if they're looking at internal systems of information. Just like when we would go and implement enterprise search solutions, right? The what we're indexing in needs to be as accurate or final version as possible so that we don't have the wrong information being produced. AI is the same way. It's just a different version in that sense of where the data could be cleaned and helped to be cleaned by AI. And that is solutions that we've seen. And even at some of the Master B2B events, I've had great conversations about where people have used data cleansing AI tools to help accelerate that effort for them when they don't have a big team to do it, because otherwise it's a very manual process. So there are ways to use AI to help with that data prep, but you have to make sure that you're going through and testing that and ensuring that anything new, once you do clean that, stays clean when you keep moving into the next solution or the next iteration of.
Tim, has AI opened up some new business lines for you or just service areas? Is it the things that, perhaps as you're billing less on the development services side, I'm presuming, maybe that'll happen. Are there other services that you've introduced, sort of counter to that or that you're growing and AI's made possible?
Yeah, definitely. The accelerator I mentioned earlier is an area that we've looked at for several platforms where we have accelerators that allow us to, also move content between platforms in a replatforming experience. Previously, that was a very manual effort, or you'd automate some of it with, scripts where you could, and you matched up the data. And so those accelerators have been a new service aspect of what we bring into the project side. Also just AI consulting. So a lot of project considerations. We have a lot of organizations where a board says we need something for an AI project. What can we do? And so we're going in and having conversations, doing proof of concepts or pilots of where AI can come in so they can test that out and see is this going to be a solution that we want to continue building and moving forward with? It's really interesting to see a lot of the shift in different industries as well, where AI conversational chatbots, they've been around. Conversational chatbots have been around for a long time. I think they've gotten a little bit more of a jump start again with AI being so popular now, where people are looking to that tool, or it's just here to index their data than before. And so they're more willing to put an AI conversational agent on their website or in their customer service experience models.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're past Friday 15. We're at Friday about 20 here, Tim. So we've got to leave it there. But thank you very much for joining us today. Your insights have been really interesting. And thank you again for, just the perspective you bring around everything that's happening in AI. Well, I'm sure we'll see you at our events soon. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. So, Mr. Andy Hoar, a couple quick announcements before we wrap our Friday 15 this week. First off, Master B2B Nexus is your personal B2B digital lifeline. This service provides expert advice exclusively for B2B e-commerce executives. This is a paid service for practitioners only. And it's something that really it's sort of what Andy, someone coined it as sort of on call or on demand, or consulting on speed dial, I think was the term that was used, right? And speed dial, of course, we're dating ourselves a little bit, but
really it is consulting by the drink. That was kind of interesting. Right, or on tap. Consulting on tap. Expert consulting on tap. Yeah.
There you go. So, we have a great group of advisors here. We match you one-on-one with your peers to answer your questions quickly, avoid mistakes, get you answers you need. It's a fantastic and growing service. So we encourage you to check that out, masterb2b.com, and look at Nexus. We also have our forum, which is available online. It's a private online community just for practitioners. We have hundreds of people in there, conversations happening every day amongst VPs of e-com, directors of e-com, chief digital officers, VPs of marketing, etc. If you are not a part of this, you should join. It is free, and we encourage you to take a look. Go to masterb2b.com and click on forum. And finally, folks, these sessions, our Friday 15, are available in podcast form on your favorite podcast service. Take a look at Spotify, Google, Apple, on our website, YouTube. It's across the intergalactic galaxy. Is that the thing? I don't know. Anyway, take a look and listen while you're, whatever you're doing, taking a shower. So enjoy the episodes. There's lots of them there. Andy, any final words before we wrap our Friday 15 for this week?
Yeah, so McKinsey's not an SI, but they do a lot of strategy work. And I read recently, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, that said that 40% of McKinsey's work now is AI work.
Wow.
Now, who would have thought that a couple of years ago? Plus, they've also reduced their size by like 10, 15%. So I think they're living this world themselves. There's been a bunch of speculation about how it's going to change their business. Clearly, AI is changing businesses to a greater or lesser extent. I like what Tim said about it's shifting with the work they do. But, he admitted very honestly, this is changing our business. And I think it's pretty fair to say it's changing every business.
It is, even ours. I mean, we're looking at rolling out some AI ourselves. So more on that to come. So, folks, thanks for joining this Friday 15 this week. We will see you again next week on Friday 15.